Hello, Purple Heart Consciousness holders. This is Reverend Jerry Hobby. I am the spiritual director of Spiritual Enlightenment and Truth Focus Ministry, and we focus on engaging in spiritual practice. So I'm so happy to be with you today. And the reason I'm happy to be with you today is because the world is in need of our prayer work. And I'm so honored to be in prayer with you today. I tell you, I went out into the world and it was a blessing for me to go out. And the reason it was a blessing is I got an opportunity to see some of the things that were happening. I went out to pick up a few things this morning. The first store I went to, we did a drive-by, and I'm calling it a drive-by blessing. The lines were around the corner at the store. We went to the next store, and I told my husband, I said, I think we're going to go and do some drive-bys through the neighborhood instead of getting upset. I walked into this particular store and I looked and I could see that the line had extended all the way to the back of the store. It was coming from there was a detour to get to the register to pay. This was early in the morning. We continued to go from store to store to store until finally I decided I'm just going to go and pick up some food. And I went over to the deli, got some food, and left. So we can see that there is a lot of panic in the world. And part of what we get to do is we get to really anchor in consciousness. I want to remind you of the power of your word. I want to remind you, too, of the power of your thought. So here's a quote from Ernest Holmes I'd like to share with you. He says, drop all negative thoughts from your mind. Do not dwell on adversity, but think plenty into everything, for there is a power in your word. It also reminds me of those special words, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. We get an opportunity to direct ourselves with intention. So be mindful of your word. That's the reason we're taking time right now to have this moment, so that you can disengage from all the stuff that is happening out there in the world, and you can focus within. Because the key to healing right now has to do with how we focus and how we approach life. So with that in mind right now, I'm going to invite you to join me in spiritual practice. And we're going to start by listening to these words also by Ernest Holmes. He says, life is ever giving of itself. You must receive, utilize, and extend the gift. Success and prosperity are spiritual attributes that belong to all people. And with that in mind right now, remembering that success and prosperity are attributes that belong to us all. I'm going to invite you to simply breathe with me right now. And just release and let go. I'm going to invite you to move into the heart space right now. And as you're moving into the heart space, I invite you to simply release, to let go, and to open yourself up to something even greater. Just breathe. And as you're breathing right now, I'm going to invite you to just shift your focus. And I want you to recall a time in your life that you experienced deep abiding gratitude, that you experienced care or compassion, or just plain kindness. And I'm just remembering right now, just receiving a call from someone that knew that I was moving through a tough time. And I'm remembering the energetics of the call because it was probably one of the lowest moments in my life. But they're calling and letting me know they're thinking about me and that they cared. It moved me forward. It helped me to get out of the doldrums of my experience. And I want to say that energetically, it really made me feel good. I felt like I was cared for and that I was loved. I want you to remember your moment, and I want you to remember the energetics of that moment. And as you remember, I want you to bring it into your heart space right now. And if you don't have a story, I want you to lean into mine. Because I'm going to tell you, I felt so high after that call. Just a simple call. It only took a minute, but it made a difference in my life. And as you're remembering, I want you to amplify that feeling within your heart space right now. And as you're amplifying that feeling, I'm inviting you to amplify that feeling for every single person within your personal circle. Your loved ones, your friends, your neighborhood, the people in your workplace, and the teachers that teach your children, the coaches that are there to coach you and to coach your children, and all the businesses around you. Amplify that feeling. And let's extend this feeling once more and amplify it in the world. Knowing that anyone that is moving through anything, that the presence is amplified, the energetic. And as we're amplifying this feeling right now, adding heart to our experience, we simply remember that there is only one, and that one is the divine presence that is everywhere in everything. It is the beauty of life. It is divine wisdom. It is divine love. That it is the divine blessing in all ways, fulfilling itself and revealing itself. That it is that divine essence of peace and harmony. It is the spirit of wholeness. It is that divine essence that is abundant and overflowing. And what I know is that it multiplies itself. And as it multiplies itself, I know that it reveals itself and it anchors itself within all places, in all ways, through all things. And so the thing that I'm focused on this morning or this evening, whatever time zone we are in this moment, what I know is there is only the one, and that one power, that one presence is the divine light within my life. That it is the divine substance that expands itself and fulfills itself and enriches itself. That I am one with this divine presence and power. And that whatever my need is, the seeming need is, that the universe has already fulfilled it. That it has gone before and prepared the way. And I know that the word that I speak right now is all inclusive. That it includes all of humanity, and that anyone that is hearing this prayer that they are anchored in this truth also. That the presence of the divine is that sacred energy revealing itself, expressing itself, and overflowing in itself. And so in this awareness right here, right now, I know that this power and this presence has already anchored itself, and it has gone into the places we in our human experience are unable to go. I'm acknowledging the presence and the power of love in action. And I know that that loving presence, it fulfills itself, it enriches itself, it blesses itself, and it personalizes itself right here and right now for every single person that is participating in this prayer, that there is a divine blessing unfolding within their experience. And I know that there is more than enough, and that more than enough shows up in its perfect way, in the perfect circumstance. And I know that each individual is enriched. So what I know is that their thirst is quenched, that the presence of the divine continues to hydrate itself within each and every individual. I know that that same presence that I speak of right now, that is quenching the thirst of each individual, I know that it is the healing power. And that healing power fulfills itself and enriches itself. That prosperity and abundance shows up in a practical way within each individual's life. That whatever their need is, the universe has already gone before and fulfilled itself. I'm acknowledging and knowing that this presence and this power is the divine substance, and it is divine wisdom, it is divine understanding, and it is that creative power at work. And I know that out of that creativity, I know that our medical profession is lifted up to the place of the Most High. I'm acknowledging it within our teams that are working together in unity. And I'm giving thanks for the blessing of spirit expanding itself within our scientists and everyone that is working together. And what I hear are these sacred words: all things work together for good for those that love the lordly presence. So what I know is that there is the right use unfolding as I speak right now of universal principle, universal law. And I know that that universal law is that divine spiral that is uplifting and inspiring, anchored in the space of love, where the divine creative presence reveals itself. It fulfills itself in a timely manner, and it expresses itself for good. So what I'm knowing is for each and every individual that I come into contact with, that the thought, that divine awareness, and that truth of being has already expanded itself, that it is part of my engagement with every single person that I come into contact with. And what I know is that there is an enrichment unfolding, that there is a peace that passeth all understanding, that the divine presence of love is magnified and fulfills itself in a practical way. What I'm grateful for is the blessing of the divine, that whatever the need is in this moment, that it is fulfilled. I know that each and every individual experiences the blessings of spirit, that it overflows, that every seeming need is met, that there is only the blessing and the overflow of the divine, that any sense of lack and limitation has already fallen to the wayside, and that the gift of the divine continues to give of itself. It anchors and it lifts everyone up. I'm giving thanks for the creative element of spirit moving through all of our world leaders on all levels. I'm giving thanks for the blessing of our employers and the blessings that are unfolding within them and through them, and the spirit and the light of kindness and compassion expanding itself within the world. I'm giving thanks for the expertise. And in this space of gratitude right now, I simply release these words into the action of universal law, knowing it as perfect and knowing it as good. And together we all affirm and say, and so it is. Amen. I'm going to open my eyes for a moment. I'm going to remind you all the value of spiritual practice. And if you need to listen to this prayer again and again, please do. The other part I want to remind you of is be good to yourself. Hydrate yourself. I have my cup here and I'm still hydrating myself. I want you to do that. Follow the advice that our officials are giving us, and we will move through this whole process. And I'm affirming that there is ease and grace through the whole process. I will see you tomorrow. Have a blessed evening. Namaste.